Oh boy, I don't even know where to start with this. I don't usually. I mean, I should get more used to it, but I don't usually like to talk too poorly about films, and I'm very. I had such high hopes for the Spiral film. I thought it was going to be this new take on the universe. I thought it was going to be something creative. And it has its moments where, yeah, maybe it could be something worthwhile, but really, at the end of the day, I just don't think it's done that well. And it's just really heartbreaking because I was a huge fan. I'll never forget being in the theater watching the first Saw. And I remember us always making fun of the idea of, oh, it's called Saw. Did you see Saw? Yeah, that was a big thing, probably with a lot of people when the first one came out. And it was fantastic. And then the second one came out, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is a great continuation. And then they did 7 or 8 more of them, and they're just trash. Like, I'm sorry. I understand the idea of building franchises, and I understand the idea that sometimes the stories can work, but I feel like for this franchise, after I'm going to say the third one, the first and second one are probably the best to me, and the third one kind of teetering, but after that, it's complete garbage. I don't like the rest of it. I have seen it. I do watch them occasionally. I'm not going to say that they are in and of themselves bad films, but what I dislike is that when they start with a certain premise and they're trying to make more films based off of that, then they start ruining everything that they had set up prior to that for the sake of making another film. It's complete and utterly ridiculous. The entire story, I think it takes maybe saw 4 or 5, or maybe even both of them. The entire story with the detective who was also working with him just made no freaking sense whatsoever. Then they went back and was like, oh yeah, he did this he did this behind the scenes. How do you think he was able to put them all on the hooks and whatnot? I don't even know if he had 100% of that planned when he first wrote the film, but all I do know is that it wasn't living up to its potential. To me, at least, for what the first one gave us and for what the second one continued, as they kept snowballing these ideas, it just became, horror gore. It was just a Saw film to be a Saw film. Then they came out with the Jigsaw film not too long ago, which wasn't all that bad, and I believe that was the one where they kind of were meant to, seal it and be like, okay, this is it, this is going to be the end of it, and then, okay, and here comes Spiral. Takes place in the same universe, but it's not really Jigsaw, it's a Jigsaw copycat, and okay, I can dig that. Yeah, let's work with that. He specifically goes after rotten cops. And okay, so another thing I can't really go too far into because I don't want to spoil the film for you is the reason why he goes after cops and whatnot and why it's all based around the detective played by Chris Rock, because that is a very major focal point of the entire film, and it probably has a lot to do with a lot of the animosity towards police officers from this day and age. There's, constant, things floating around the internet, people, fighting against cops, people saying that we don't need cops and all that stuff. All the stuff going on with the police right now in this country. This film kind of touches base on that a little bit. I can't really say it's all about that because, it's corrupt cops. Corrupt cops have been involved in movies for as long as movies have been around. It's a very common movie trope. It just is crazy to think that this film could have been made with that premise in mind solely, and not specifically to just say, oh, let's just make a film that's based in the Saw universe, but also let's just kill a bunch of cops. You know what I mean? But it does have a really decent, methodology to why it does that. It's just not executed well. It's not executed well whatsoever. When the first thing you see, though the first time you see the puppet and the sauce and the television and the screen comes up and it's all that Saw and it's the Spiral and it just screams Jigsaw, and you hear the squeaky friggin' voice come out, It's so bad. And I just got so mad. I'm like, alright, I get that it's supposed to be a copycat, and if he sounded like the original Jigsaw, it wouldn't be the same. But also, that's what made the Jigsaw. That's what made him. That actor's voice is phenomenal. And whenever you hear him, whether he plays a good character or a bad character, whether he's in like a family movie or comedy or even another horror film, you just hear that voice. And not only does it just relate to Saw and relate to Jigsaw and the puppets and all that, but it's just so deep and it's so threatening. And it's the one in this film is like computer generated. It sounds like Siri, and it's crap. I was so mad, and I just can't really say anything positive about this except for, yeah, the twist. Maybe it's good. I can't really say too many positive things about this. I'm not gonna sit here and say that it should be about Saw. If this You could have done this movie and had no relation to Saw whatsoever. It literally could have been a film that was like Seven, or a film that was like, if you wanted to still do like gore or whatnot, it could have been another kind of Hostel or I Spit on Your Grave type film. But making it a Saw film, we expect certain things out of these films. And the fact that this was what we got, I feel like it doesn't deliver on that, and I'm upset. I'm upset about it. I really can't say anything else besides that.